Okay, the next item on the agenda is a possible ban on plastic bags. We have Missy Hollenbach. Would you like to speak to the issue at all? Or?
Sure, right now.
Yep.
Realized I forgot another little handout for you. It's basic. This is the actual town warrant
Okay.
petition.
Missy, could I get a copy of that?
Oh, sure.
Or you can email them.
Hi, my name is Missy Hollenbach, and I'm from Precinct 9 at 38 Stony Hill Road in Shrewsbury. And I brought a plastic bag petition before the town warrant, mainly because we literally have our trash hanging from the trees. And it is not only just a matter of issue of litter, but the plastic bags actually do cause some harm to the environment. And also the CDC and some other insect experts state that litter and trash can actually collect water, and they become breeding grounds for mosquitoes, because we're now getting mosquitoes that don't need large swamps, but literally just small amounts of water to breed in. So it really does become a litter health issue. So there are just a number of reasons. And then also, of course, we all know about the sea turtles and the ocean and that type of thing. But there's just so many little things wrong with the trash and the recycling, particularly with the plastic bags, that I thought it was important that we bring it to the town. You all have, the letter came from the Board of Health, so you know about the letter, I believe it was about 2 months ago, regarding the plastic bags in the town recycling bins, that they actually clog the machinery at Harvey. Neil Harvey has been quoted as saying that plastic bags are their #1 contaminant, not just coming from Shrewsbury, but for their plant in general. Framingham also uses them, and their DEP said that they do have a problem with that. So it really is a huge issue with them. The one problem that when I did this bill, which is the petition, is actually coming from the Sierra Club. I wasn't even going to attempt to craft this myself. I made a little error. I had a migraine brain and my brain froze. I eliminated a word "not," and the "not" will be amended back in on the floor to include this. If you see on the first page where it says plastic bag reduction, section 1, checkout bag, it currently states a carry-out bag sorry, Mr. Rubin.
Slow here. Oh, okay.
Sorry. A carry-out bag provided by a store to a customer at the point of sale. Checkout bags shall include bags, and right at this point right here, it should be checkout bags shall not include bags, whether plastic or not, in which loose produce or products are placed by the consumer to deliver such items to the point of sale or checkout area of the store. So I did not intend to exclude the meat bags that you put for your bloody meat, the produce, that type of thing. I want to keep that in. There were just too many double negatives in there, and it bothered me, so I took it out accidentally. So that will be going back in there, because that is kind of important, especially from a health standpoint, that we have those in there. These rules, like I said, are being shared by the Sierra Club to other towns who want to have bag bans. So it's very similar to other towns. The other thing, what I did is, they're playing with some certain numbers. Some towns have an exclusion in there for smaller stores, and they randomly pick various square feet. I think in Brookline, it's stores that are under 2,500 or 3,000 square feet are excluded. I didn't do any size exclusions for Shrewsbury because I know we are very short-staffed, and I just had visions of people going to any small convenience store or any smaller store and calling the town up and complaining, but in reality they were in compliance. But I mean, who can really judge 2,500 square feet? So I eliminated that with the thoughts that to make your jobs easier. The other thing that I did differently from some of the other towns is the plastic mills. Most people didn't know what a mill is. So what I did is when in the bag manufacturing world, a traditional plastic bag is about 2 mils. When they start getting to those thicker ones that kind of last a few times, they're more in the 2.5 range. The 4 mils that I have, I don't think they're even made. It's just so far out on the range there that, you know, so if anyone even did call up and complain, the reality is that it would not likely be the bag because they don't really make them, or they're just so outrageously expensive. You know, maybe if you had Tiffany's here, it might be that. So this is what I brought here. The other reason is I pick on the Board of Health. That is what, again, is the standard across the state and the United States, basically, of who enforces these laws. So it's not like I, you know, don't like you guys or anything. It's just that I'm following what everyone else is doing. Currently, right now, in the state, there is a bill. There's actually 2 bills about plastic bag bans. One is actually a bill making it illegal to ban bags. And the other one is banning bags, and it's very similar to this as well. Although that one right now currently has a 10-cent fee for paper bags. I don't go into any of the fees or anything like that. That's just too complicated. So we're literally just attempting to limit plastic bags with this bill.
So the 2 bills you're talking about are before the state?
I'm sorry?
With the last thing you said were 2...
Wait, sorry, it's not right now.
The last thing you said about 2 bills and...
Oh, yes, 2
that's
bills.
before the state legislature?
Okay, yes, right now there are 2 bills before the state legislature regarding plastic bags. The gentleman who created it said he really doesn't even anticipate that it will get out of the committee for at least 2 years. And then it has to go to various other committees and that type of thing. We know that from environmental type bans like this, that when the bottle bill, they attempted to expand it to include other bottles, that literally sat on the floor for 20 years. And the only reason it came before the public a couple of years ago was because environmentalists were just getting frustrated. So they collected 16,000 signatures to get a petition on it. So we're not having any confidence that this will be moved, the plastic bag ban will be moving through Boston anytime quickly. The other problem with a state ban that California is now finding out, California banned bags, I think it was like last year. And the problem now is that the petrochemical industry is suing the state of California, saying that they don't have the right to do that. And what I've read from comments and op-ed pieces is that even if that were to be defeated, it would be repealed. The fact that so many towns and counties in California already have their own individual bans, they're protected. So if something similar were to happen here in Massachusetts, if Shrewsbury were to pass the ban, then we would be protected if it were repealed. The other question kind of going with that is, you know, Shrewsbury, you know, we can't really make an impact. What we're seeing, and why I have the list of the towns there, is that it's almost like a disease vector. You know, it starts with a small, you know, one town will pass the ban, then the other towns will kind of spread out with it. I do have, after this is over, I will be reaching out to Northborough, Westborough, Grafton, Boylston, and contacts in those towns, and submitting the information to them so that they can also have a ban as well in their town.
So these are towns that already have bag bans.
I'm sorry?
These are towns that already have...
Yes, those are the ones. The one, and the thing is, it's a moving target right now because so many towns are voting on it literally, you know, this week and next week.
And that's this one? Is that this?
That one is actually a list from the Green Environmentalist Group. Those are ones that they know are currently working on bans. Mm-hmm. So there's 50 towns there that are currently working on it. So it's spreading very quickly.
And then Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee, do those groups have?
They felt that it was a state issue and they bumped it back. So, you know, some things they feel, you know, this state issue, some that, you know, they're not.
So on the warrant at town meeting, they're not in favor?
Yes.
One
Although
point,
it's not based on any fact,
Right.
it's based on their personal opinions.
one point of clarification on the communication that was sent out to the residents regarding the plastic bags is that basically our contractor, our rubbish hauler, was kind of reinforcing what was already in place to begin with. That recycling, the plastic bags were never recyclable to begin with themselves, and they never should have had recyclables in plastic bags. They were always supposed to go in the trash. So what happened was when Missy mentioned that E.L. Harvey was having the jams in the machinery, this was just kind of a re-education on not using plastic bags in the recycling piece of the collection program. That's all.
In fact, I was going to ask Phil if this were to pass, I guess your group would have to basically be responsible for the enforcement, so does that add some additional, obviously it'll add some additional work for your group?
I did have a brief discussion with Missy along those lines, because you do refer to the director in public health, and the way this is worded, it would fall in our area to educate and enforce. So a couple questions that I have. The way you wrote the penalty section, you make no reference to non-criminal disposition, which is key. One of the things, okay, you don't do this. If you don't do this, then this happens. That's one step. But when they don't do the penalty part, you have to be prepared to go, what's the next step from there? And in here, it just basically says you pay the penalty. We have many instances of people, they don't pay the penalty, and we have to go to the next step. Under Somerville, they have, and actually the Somerville one, and I'm not here to write it for you, but the first offense is a warning. I think that's very important. I mean, I think initially when we were doing tobacco regulations, we had warnings on the first offense and then some period of time, because there will be people initially are going to say, well, I didn't know. I mean, that's our common response to, well, I didn't know. So you want to educate, because there's two parts of this. There's your bylaw, then there's the rollout, big time education, and then there's the enforcement piece. Hopefully you do a good enough job on the education piece, why, etc., so that you don't do a lot of enforcement, because if you're always doing enforcement, then it's not working. And then just so you understand, we operate under an intermunicipal agreement to provide certain services to Shrewsbury. This isn't under the particular IMA that's going to be for next year, so we'd have to factor in some additional something. And the other thing I explained to Missy is if we, and then Carrie could respond to that because she gets a lot of the trash complaints, we would probably get, and I'm just in general might get similar complaints of, you know, there's a bunch of plastic bags in so-and-so parking lot. That for us wouldn't be an immediate drop everything, go there. And then on the enforcement piece, we would probably do follow-up as we're there. I mean, you have approximately 200 food permits in Shrewsbury. You're our largest, busiest towns, so our folks like Kobe are out there on a regular basis. But if we had a specific complaint, we'd either put it on because we're going to be there next week. It wouldn't be, I'll send Kobe, can you get there right now? We just got this complaint. So, you know, I support your premise. You know, I operate transfer stations. I understand we tell our people all the time about plastic bags, and you can't make paper out of plastic. And then, but the bags are very convenient to put all your recyclables in and drop them in the bag. But the next step, folks don't really envision. It's all mechanical. And those plastic bags come off, and then it's conveyor belts, and just watch a conveyor belt spin, and there's something that's a film, it just wraps it up. So there's a lot of downtime, like at E.L. Harvey, and anyone that's been in any kind of waterway, you can see that. To finish up, if you want to have a bylaw, you need it to be enforceable, you need it to make sense, and then you need to back it up with a rollout campaign and strong education. You know, Kobe's one person, and usually has his plate open. So if this were to pass, I would be looking for, you know, some help from somebody to help formulate education, and you need a strong education program up front. You know, we have to meet with one by one, each store owner, explaining when we change tobacco regulations, that's what we do. You know, you now can't sell blunt wraps, you can't sell this, we go individually. So there's a timepiece there also. So I don't know if there's groups out there that are willing to step up to that. But I also would encourage,
Actually, can I interrupt for a minute? Actually, I am also with Shrewsbury Recycles. When Nancy Allen, our previous Board of Director of Health, retired, and the municipal, group was created, the recycling and the trash kind of basically fell onto, Carrie and the people who were before her.
And Carrie.
The reality is that we don't have a recycling committee. So it's kind of fallen through the cracks. So I am out there for every Spirit of Shrewsbury, every Earth Day. I am, I'm registering high school seniors, and people are coming up and asking me, questions in the grocery store, wherever I am about recycling. So, I do get that information out there to them. We would be definitely, working with you and helping them with that as well.
and so I would recommend, again, just some kind of language similar to Somerville. Then also, I'm not sure if the town has accepted Chapter 40, Section 21D, which allows you to do non-criminal disposition. I'm not sure.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Mr. Mena, the town moderator, met with our town council yesterday. He didn't indicate whether the town council had felt that we needed to do anything like that. So I'll clarify with him and specifically ask if that came up, or if he could check again with him, so that I do have time to create an amendment for this.
Because you're going to hit them with a $50 fine first time out of the gate. So, to me, part of that, when you have a new bylaw, again, this is not a, this is not common in a way. You're going to be the first in the area, and then you roll this out, and you're probably going to have, you'll have 50% that want it, 50% don't want it, so there'll be some pushback. And so, with that being said, you're going to hit them with a $50 fine first time out of the gate. That doesn't necessarily, support the kind of education, why we're doing this. So I'm just saying, because we're the ones that would be getting the pushback. So,
A couple questions, Phil. So you mentioned that our current agreement for the regional, health services would not cover enforcement of this specific.
this would be a new.
Yep. So we would need then to reopen the current agreement. Mr. Morgado would have to then negotiate with the regional Board of Health, and that could impact the fee that we pay. It's a possibility.
You
Okay.
pay for, services.
Sure.
And, you're covering all your food inspections. We're doing the Title V starting July 1. All your housing and nuisance, and then your animal inspector duties. So, initially, the rollout piece, if you want this to be effective, that's the key in our trade. You want regulation to be effective, you want to educate about it, so you're not spending all your time trying to enforce it, because then it's not working. You always have enforcement, but the key is not punishment, the key is compliance.
Right.
If we're out there punishing all the time, then we're looking like, the bag, we're gonna be known as the bag police.
Well, it's like when people
We're already
get-
known as the food police.
No.
You know, when people get their stickers on their recycling bins that they're rejected, I'm sure Carrie immediately gets a call. The question I have
Oh, you
is,
just don't know.
I know currently right now the state, there's regulations regarding organics in the restaurant industry, that if food establishments are above a certain size, is that something that you guys also?
At this point, the straight up restaurant doesn't meet the criteria. You're looking at more institutional settings, like a large university, which I'll use Clark University as an example there. They have an active organic program. And something like that, at that level, we would partner with DEP, because it's a DEP regulation. We encourage organics. Again, on our end, is it properly stored?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah, is it in proper containers, they're not leaking, is it picked up on a regular basis? Usually organics, you want to get them picked up twice a week at a minimum. But a lot of times in the food, they might have what's called a pig bucket, and they've been already sorting that out, but that's a smaller amount.
So I was just curious if this, was part of it. The other thing I did not mention is right now in this Boston, the Senate has passed, this will impact farmers markets, would be starting next year, is allowing micro beer breweries, and somebody tacked on an amendment banning plastic bags from that already. So it still needs to go to the House and then to be signed and all the other stuff. So there is a possibility that something is already moving through in some aspect of a business in the town. So there would be, again, I don't know how the state, the Senate or the House in Boston plan on regulating that.
You do the farmer's market, right?
Yes, I do.
So if that were to pass, to say it made it through all the lobbyists,
Yeah.
the biggest thing at the state is you have the lobbyists coming in, how it's gonna hurt business, and when they say it hurts business, then that's bad. So that's why it doesn't pass. But say it does, it'd be on you as a farmer's market person to educate those that come to say, this is banned at the farmer's market. But then I would see on the state level, through ag resources or the farmer's market people putting that all out at the beginning of the season, this is now law of the land, please don't use plastic, you can use this instead. So there'll be a whole educational part, but it'll be interesting to see the enforcement piece, whether they put.
That's why I'm kind of throwing
Yeah.
that out there, because there's something out there, and I'm wondering how this would impact, issues.
I'm not sure if you're gonna see $50 first offense and $100, just like that. And then whether or not there's a non-crim piece if they don't pay.
Yeah, so my follow-up question to that would be, so if a shop owner does not pay the fine, what are the escalation options?
Well, that's what I would like to see, and, non-crim is similar to a parking ticket. I hate to, again, technically, if they don't pay a fine or they don't pay their taxes, then they're not supposed to get a permit. And that's something that, I know in the health department, traditionally, we keep track of that, but it doesn't always filter through the other departments sometimes. So we have to be prepared. We're seeing in general an uptick in pushback. You can't make me do that. Show me where that says. It's been past 5 years especially. And so you have to be prepared for those cases that will take you all the way, and you also don't wanna have to spend, you don't have to be filing in Superior Court, civil case, because they didn't pay a $50 fine. But at the same time, you need it to be enforceable, or else don't do it. That's my bottom line. If you can't enforce this realistically and make it work, don't do it.
So what, is there wording that I can use that you currently have for if a restaurant
You
doesn't
show me
comply?
this, I'll show you this, under Somerville,
Okay.
under this section.
Okay.
It has a warning, warning will be issued for the first offense, no fine shall be issued for the net 14 days. All subsequent offenses may be penalized by non-criminal disposition as provided in general law, chapter 40, section 21D.
I'll send that to the town council in Shrewsbury, to see if there's any, the way he was explaining it to me is that there might be other existing bylaws or whatever that,
I mean, that's a common,
okay,
pretty common statement, and you're talking Somerville.
Okay.
So,
I'll definitely.
it's.
And then the rollout period, I mean, I
Yep.
can move it more along that. The other thing is when you talked about pushback on this, this is one of those situations where social media and the fact that they are a business, we, Shrewsbury Recycles can literally create little certificates of award for being a good green citizen and that kind of thing. So rather than a negative saying,
Yeah,
oh,
go
you're
positive.
nasty, you're bad, giving them an incentive, it's like, oh, we have another, join them. So it almost becomes like a fun, cool thing to do, and also giving their business a little more shout out, especially if they're an older business that might not be using social media or other forms.
And then the other thing you have to understand, there's the corporate entity
Yes.
that you deal with, which, yes, there's a store manager
Yeah.
that you can talk to, but then that's gotta get channeled up
Yeah.
to regional.
Yeah.
And
District
even though
and-
this person's saying we can do it, unless regional or their corporate entity says we're on board, and you may be talking to a corporate entity
Yeah.
that's in New York,
We've
as
already-
opposed to, okay, Dunkin' Donuts, they're franchise owners, but they own 4 or 5 and they're from the area, to a mom and pop owner operated. So every one of those different types have a different way of responding. And we know that in our world, because if we have to deal with them on anything new or anything that's going on, that's the kind of thing. So it's not like all of a sudden this little switch, bing,
Oh, right.
everyone's informed, everyone's on board. It's that front end educational work and support that takes time and effort, but if you don't do it, then this would fail, and then you're looking to us to pick up the pieces. So I'm just throwing that out there.
We do have actually support from the larger box store chains. They basically were, we already have it in New York State, all counties have it. It's just a matter of, just switching out bags when they do their next order kind of thing. So the
Such
big
as?
box stores, I'm sorry?
Such as big box stores.
Price Choppers, Stop and Shop, those were the only, those were the biggest ones we went to right now.
I guess we mentioned the intermunicipal agreement with Worcester. I think that's about to be renewed for 3 years, as I understand it. So would that possibly have to be revisited if this were passed?
I mean, we're revisiting it in the fall to review the animal inspector piece.
Okay.
If this was to pass, the other thing, if this was to pass, I mean, you're looking at a startup date of July 1. And, that's not a lot of lead time. And you may think it is, but right now, just so you know, Kobe is one person.
Yep.
And he's in town 3 days a week. Right now, it's pool season and camp season and beach season. And it's also vacations, because our vacations have to come off the book by the end of May. So that being said, his priority is pools, camps, and beaches, because everybody wants their pools, camps, and beaches up and operating. if this was to be put into our lap and say it's operational by July 1, quite frankly, it's not doable. And I'm not just saying that because I'm saying it, it's true, it's not
Is
doable.
there a
If
time-
you were to make it like a January 1st
Okay, that's
startup,
what-
I mean, again, anytime, and again, in the future, not that I'm looking for you to write more regulation, but sitting down with us ahead of time, again, it's not up for us to write it for you, but we can at least point you in the right direction. A January 1st startup might be a little more doable. We have some upfront time planning, working with your folks, and then,
And then, of course, you're always doing the renewals too for all
Oh,
the
yes,
full
that's
establishments
right.
that are effective
The end of the
January
calendar
1st.
year.
Yeah.
And that's why I
wait,
was
but aren't
actually
they-
doing that, is that's the beginning of the new fiscal year.
We
Isn't it
start
July 1st,
renewals-
2017, it says?
oh, does it say 2017?
Yes.
Okay, then,
So we are pushing it out a year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really
That-
wanted to push it out,
Okay.
and I did it.
Then
and
that's
the
good.
reason it's July is because it's a fiscal year, so being that it's going before town meeting, that's kind of in their mind frame, so, but it makes sense, I mean,
I'm good with July 1st next year.
no, I mean, the
Make
thing
sure
is, I
you're
do
here.
have the ability to amend this, the fact that I'm going to be adding the word "and not," so I can be adding in the non-criminal penalty. I can also change the date, making it, January 1st, 2018, giving a little bit more extra time for the rollout.
The July 1st, 2017, that's okay. 'Cause you might be able to just add that section and keep your penalties similar, Again, it just gives you, this would be down the non-criminal disposition piece, so similar to a parking ticket, similar to that type of a tobacco permit violation, similar to that.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, I guess this was for informational purposes, Kerry, for the Board of Health and the Health Department, so, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Missy, for coming.
Now, at town meeting, would we be able to get an opinion from the Board of Health, whether you support this or you have some questions, whether, once I do add in the non-criminal part, whether it's something that we would be willing to support?
Is this similar to the fluoride question last year where we were asked to formally make a recommendation? I'm just not sure of the procedure. I mean,
I don't know, it sounds more like the usual,
I'm sorry?
it sounds more like what happens when Finance Committee says we support or we don't support, right?
Mhm.
We need to,
I mean, I'm happy to discuss if you want to.
we need to,
You want to discuss whether or not to endorse?
I think
Or-
so that if we're called upon at town meeting,
Okay.
right, we have to be able to come up with, we have to say something. Where's the forum for that? Is that at today's meeting?
I mean, I guess being that town meeting is next.
Monday.
Is Monday. I think if we're gonna discuss it, we'd have to discuss it now.
I think
Right,
so.
it would have to be at currently an open meeting, so
Right.
I
Yep.
think we would need to do that.
I mean, I'm happy to discuss it if you feel I'm happy to.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we need to come up with some opinion if we're called on as a group. We're all 3 town meeting members, we're all gonna be there.
Right.
I think Karen Clark's gonna be there too.
Yeah, she'll be there.
Okay.
I'll brief
I
her.
don't think this is for her, though, I think this is really for us.
Right. Okay, so,
So I'm in support, I'm in support to sort of move forward and try to figure out what the process is to help Phil's concerns. But I'm in support of a ban.
Okay. I'm actually not in support. I just think the ban is sort of a last resort, and for the aforementioned concern raised by Phil, as well as the question of we'd have to possibly renegotiate our current regional services agreement. I can't support it at this point.
I'm currently reluctant to support, mainly because I think it's better handled at the state level, because we have, obviously, the surrounding towns may or may not be including this kind of bylaw. Therefore, even though I understand the issue in California with the lawsuit, in my opinion, I think it's better handled at the state level, and because of the nature of the the surrounding towns having different policies. So I guess we have two not supporting, one supporting.
2 to 1 not in support. I think Bryan had a,
Did you take any public comments today on it?
It's not a public
It's not a
hearing.
public hearing.
It's not a public.
Just wondering if you wanted to hear, I think a couple of us came today, if you wanted to hear from this one here.
I mean, I don't have a problem speaking, it's not a public hearing though, so just understand that.
So that's okay? Just to make a quick comment?
Is that okay with you guys?
If, I guess briefly, I know we have a.
Yeah, if we
Hard
could make
stop.
it very brief.
Sure. Yeah. So Bryan Moss, 16 Newton Circle. Just coming here to show my support as a dad, I have a family. We know that plastic bags are an issue when it comes to the health of our families. So I just wanted to come here and show my support for the plastic bag ban. Sierra Club has endorsed it, saying that Shrewsbury, plastic bags are very wasteful. So I know Board of Health deals with waste too, but the town of Shrewsbury uses about 1 million shopping bags, plastic shopping bags per month, just for us as citizens. And the recycling rate is only about 5%, and that's what the Sierra Club is put in their letter. So just showing that these plastic bags are not being recycled, and they're ending up in our trash, being incinerated, and also ending up in our waterways and eventually into our oceans and the ocean life. These don't go away. The plastic bags break down into these microscopic pieces of plastic, and they never go away. And so these end up in our marine wildlife, so it ends up in the fish that we eat and absorbs those toxins like PCBs. And then so we end up eating these toxins. So in the end, we're all downstream from this. So as coming here to just show support for the ban, letting you know that it just seems, if we wait for the state, as was mentioned before, there's a lot of talk about how it hurts businesses. So I think if we wait for the state, it's really listening to the businesses. We're here as citizens today to show that we want to be represented and have a stake in this as well. To not just how it affects businesses, but how it may affect us and our families and our health. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak briefly? Okay, seeing none, I think we will move on to the next